The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from dozens of worlds sat in their assigned seats, their various forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few glowed with soft light. But today they all shared the same expression of unease. Ambassador Zixara stood at the center podium, her blue skin darker than usual with worry. The tall, thin alien cleared her throat and the room fell silent. "Fellow council members," she began, "we have received another report. The Phantom ship has been spotted again." A collective murmur swept through the hall. The Corvan delegate, a being that looked like a walking tree, rustled his leaves in distress. "Where this time?" he asked in his deep, woody voice. "The outer rim of the Kepler 442 system," Zixara replied. "Captain Veltar's patrol ship detected it 3 days ago. Same as always, massive, dark and silent. The Phantom ship. For over 300 years, it had been the galaxy's greatest mystery. Every spacefaring species had stories about it. Some called it the Wanderer, others named it the Silent Death, but most simply called it the Ghost Ship. The ship was enormous, larger than any vessel in the known galaxy. It would appear at the edge of star systems, drift through space for days or weeks, then vanish without explanation. No one had ever made contact with it. No one knew where it came from or where it went. "Has anyone tried to board it?" asked the hegemony representative, a warrior race with thick armored skin. They always wanted to solve problems with force. "Of course," Zixara said with a tired sigh. "The Valdari tried 50 years ago. They sent a boarding party. The ship simply left. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. The boarding party was left floating in space." An elderly Mentari scholar raised one of his forearms. His people were known for their wisdom and long memories. "In our archives, we have found records dating back 3 centuries. The first sighting was in the Arcturus sector. A merchant ship reported seeing a metal mountain floating in the void." 300 years, whispered the Corvan delegate. "What could live that long?" "Perhaps it is not alive at all," suggested a Zephyrian scientist. Her people were experts in artificial intelligence. "Our calculations suggest it could be an automated vessel, a probe from some ancient civilization." The room erupted in discussion. Every species had their own theory about the Phantom ship. Some believed it was a weapon left over from an ancient war. Others thought it was a research vessel studying the galaxy. A few whispered that it was death itself traveling between worlds. Silence called the council chairman, a massive being whose species was known for keeping peace. "We must focus on facts, not fears." Zixara activated a holographic display above the podium. The image showed a rough outline of the mysterious ship. It was long and cylindrical, with strange growths along its hull. "Every sighting has been consistent," she explained. "The ship is approximately 8 kilometers long and 2 kilometers wide. It appears to be made of an unknown metal that does not reflect scanner beams properly." "Has it ever shown hostile behavior?" asked a small furry delegate from the Rim worlds. "Never," Zixara admitted. "It does not respond to communication attempts. It does not attack. It simply watches, and then it leaves." The hegemony representative stood up, his armor clanking. "Perhaps it is scouting for an invasion. We should prepare our fleets. For 300 years? The Mentari scholar laughed. "That would be the longest military preparation in galactic history." Captain Veltar, who had been quietly listening from the observer section, finally spoke up. "There is something different about this sighting," he said. All eyes turned to the weathered patrol captain. His species, the Keth, were known for their excellent piloting skills. "Different how?" Zixara asked. Veltar activated his personal data pad and sent information to the main display. "This time we detected energy signatures. Very faint, but they were there. The ship was not completely dead." The room fell silent again. For 3 centuries, the Phantom ship had shown no signs of active power systems. It had always appeared as a dead hulk drifting through space. "What kind of energy?" the Zephyrian scientist asked, leaning forward with interest. "Unknown," Veltar admitted. "But there were patterns, regular pulses like a heartbeat, and something else." He paused, looking uncomfortable. "There were electromagnetic signals on frequencies we have not seen before." The council chairman frowned. "Signals? You mean communications?" "Possibly. My ship's computer could not decode them, but they were definitely artificial, not natural space phenomena. This news changed everything. If the Phantom ship was trying to communicate, It meant there was intelligence behind it. But what kind of intelligence could survive 300 years in the cold of space? "We need to investigate," declared the hegemony representative. "I volunteer to lead a military expedition." "No," said the Mentari scholar firmly. "If there is intelligence aboard that vessel, we should approach with science, not weapons. This could be first contact with a new species." The debate that followed was fierce. The military factions wanted to treat the Phantom ship as a potential threat. The scientific communities wanted to study it. The merchant guilds worried about trade route disruptions. Finally, the council chairman called for order. "We will form a joint expedition," he announced. "Scientific ships will approach first with military escorts standing by. Ambassador Zixara will lead the mission." Zixara nodded, though she felt fear creep up her spine. For 300 years, the Phantom ship had been a mystery. Tomorrow, she might finally learn the truth. As the council session ended and delegates filed out, many continued their discussions in small groups. The Phantom ship had become more than just a mystery. It had become a legend that shaped how young aliens saw the universe. Parents told their children stories about the ghost ship that sailed between stars. Some made it a monster. Others made it a guardian angel watching over space travelers. But none of them knew the real truth. None of them knew that inside the Phantom ship, 2 million souls were sleeping, dreaming of a home they had lost long ago. None of them knew that the ship was not hunting for prey or studying civilizations. It was looking for hope. The next morning, Zixara stood on the bridge of the science vessel Harmony's Dream. Behind her, a small fleet of alien ships prepared for departure. They were heading to the Kepler 442 system, where the Phantom ship waited. "All ships report ready," her communications officer announced. "Begin jump sequence," Zixara ordered. "It is time to solve this mystery once and for all." As her ship entered hyperspace, she wondered what they would find. An ancient robot? A sleeping god? An alien intelligence beyond their understanding? She could never have guessed that they were about to meet humanity. The Harmony's Dream dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Ambassador Zixara gripped her command chair as the ship's sensors immediately began screaming warnings. "Contact confirmed," her sensor operator called out. "The Phantom ship is directly ahead, distance 2 million kilometers." On the main screen, the mysterious vessel appeared as a dark silhouette against the stars. Even at this distance, its massive size was obvious. Zixara had seen the reports and holographic recreations, but seeing it with her own eyes was different. The ship looked ancient and organic, like some giant creature sleeping in space. "All ships maintain formation," she ordered through the communication system. "Scientific vessels forward, military escorts hold position." Behind her, the hegemony battlecruiser Iron Fist and 3 other warships took defensive positions. Their captain, Admiral Kethvar, had made it clear he thought this was a mistake. He believed they should attack first and ask questions later. "Beginning sensor sweep," announced Dr. Yila, the expedition's chief scientist. The small green-skinned Valdari was considered one of the galaxy's best experts on unknown technologies. "This is remarkable. The hull composition is unlike anything in our databases." "Any signs of life?" Zixara asked. "Difficult to tell. The hull seems to block most of our scans. But I am detecting those energy patterns," Captain Veltar reported. "They are stronger now." On her personal display, Zixara watched the energy readings. Dr. Yila was right. There were regular pulses coming from the Phantom ship. They looked almost like a heartbeat or breathing pattern. "Try to establish communication," she ordered. The communications officer, a young Keth named Halson, activated the standard first contact protocols. "Unknown vessel. This is the Galactic Council expedition ship Harmony's Dream. Please respond." They waited. Space remained silent. "Try different frequencies," Zixara suggested. For 30 minutes, they broadcast on every known communication channel. They used mathematical sequences, basic pictographs, even music. The Phantom ship gave no response. "Perhaps it cannot hear us," Dr. Yila suggested. "Or perhaps it chooses not to answer." "Admiral Kethvar to Ambassador Zixara," came a gruff voice over the communication system. "My sensors show the target is powering up. I recommend immediate withdrawal." Zixara looked at her displays. Dr. Yila was right. Energy readings from the Phantom ship were increasing rapidly. But they were not the chaotic spikes of weapons charging. They were organized, purposeful. "Hold position, Admiral," she replied. "It may be trying to respond." Suddenly, every communication screen on the bridge lit up with incoming data. The phantom ship was transmitting, but not on any frequency they had used. "By the void," whispered Halzen. "This is incredible. They are using every frequency at once, multiple data streams on thousands of channels. Can you decode it?" Zixara asked. "I am trying, but this is far beyond our standard protocols. The transmission method is completely unknown." Dr. Yila hurried to her science station and began working furiously. "This is not random data," she announced after several minutes. "There are clear patterns, mathematical sequences, star charts, and what appears to be biological information." "Biological?" Zixara leaned forward. "What kind of biological information?" "Genetic patterns, atmospheric requirements, dietary needs. It is as if they are providing us with information about their species." The transmission continued for nearly an hour. The phantom ship was sending massive amounts of data, as if it had been preparing this message for a very long time. "I have something," Dr. Yila said excitedly. "The star charts. They show the location of a star system called Sol. But according to our galactic databases, that system is listed as uninhabitable. The third planet suffered ecological collapse approximately 400 years ago." 400 years, Zixara repeated. "That matches the first sightings of the phantom ship." "There is more," Dr. Yila continued. "The biological data describes a species that matches ancient records. A bipedal race that called themselves humans. They were listed as extinct after their homeworld died." The bridge fell silent as everyone processed this information. They were not dealing with an unknown alien species. They were dealing with ghosts, the survivors of a race that was supposed to be dead. "The transmission is changing," Halzen announced. "New data streams are beginning." This time, the information was different. Instead of technical data, they were receiving what appeared to be cultural information. Art, music, literature, and historical records. The phantom ship was sharing the entire history of the human race. "They are telling us their story," Dr. Yila whispered in amazement. Through the transmitted data, they learned about Earth, a blue and green world that had been beautiful beyond imagination. They saw images of great cities, vast oceans, and billions of humans living in harmony with countless other species of animals and plants. Then came the darker images. Pollution, deforestation, climate change, and extinction. The humans had damaged their world so badly that it could no longer support life. But instead of fighting wars over the remaining resources, they had made a different choice. "Remarkable," Dr. Yila said, studying the historical records. "When their world began to die, they did not turn to conquest or war. They built ships, massive generation ships designed to carry their entire civilization into space." Generation ships? Zixara had heard of the concept but never seen one built on such a scale. According to this data, they launched dozens of these vessels, each one carrying hundreds of thousands of people in various forms of suspended animation. They scattered across the galaxy, searching for new worlds to colonize. The transmission showed images of the ships being built. Entire cities were deconstructed to provide materials. Millions of humans volunteered to enter long-term sleep, trusting that future generations would find them a new home. But why have they not made contact before now? Zixara wondered aloud. As if answering her question, the next part of the transmission showed surveillance data. The humans had been watching alien civilizations for centuries. They had studied galactic politics, military strengths, and territorial disputes. They had seen countless wars fought over resources in space. They were afraid, Dr. Yila realized. A homeless species asking for help might be seen as invaders or refugees to be enslaved. They chose to remain hidden until they could assess whether contact would be safe. "Admiral Kethvar to all ships," came the angry voice over communications. "The target vessel is moving. I repeat, the phantom ship is changing position." On the main screen, they could see the massive human ship beginning to turn. For 3 centuries, it had been seen only as a silent, drifting hulk. Now it was clearly under intelligent control. "No aggressive moves," Zixara ordered quickly. All ships maintained current positions. The phantom ship completed its turn and began moving toward the Galactic Council fleet. But it was not the fast, threatening approach of a warship. It was slow and deliberate, like a careful animal approaching a potential friend. "Incoming transmission," Halzen announced. "This time it is on standard communication frequencies." "Put it through," Zixara ordered. The main screen flickered, and for the first time in galactic history, they saw the face of a living human being. The creature was bipedal as the data had indicated, with pale skin and short brown fur on top of its head. Its eyes were small and dark, but they held intelligence and something else. Hope. "Greetings," the human said in perfectly clear Galactic Standard language. "My name is Commander Sarah Chen of the United Earthship Endurance. We have been waiting a long time to speak with you." Zixara found her voice. "Greetings, Commander Chen. I am Ambassador Zixara of the Galactic Council. We thought your species was extinct." Commander Chen smiled, showing small white teeth. "We understand the confusion. We have been very careful about making contact, but our long journey is nearly over, and it is time to introduce ourselves properly." "Your long journey? We have been traveling for 400 years, Ambassador. We left our dying world with 2,300,000 souls aboard this ship. We have been searching the galaxy for a new home, and now we believe we have found one." Ambassador Zixara stared at the human face on her screen, trying to process what she had just heard. 2 million people on a single ship traveling for 400 years. It seemed impossible. "Commander Chen," she said carefully, "did you say 2 million people? On one ship?" 2,300,000 to be exact, Commander Chen replied. "Though not all are currently awake. Most of our population remains in various forms of suspended animation until we can establish a permanent settlement." Dr. Yila leaned forward at her science station. "The energy readings make sense now," she whispered. "Life support for that many beings would require enormous power systems. Permission to come aboard your vessel?" Commander Chen asked. "I believe a face-to-face meeting would be more productive than talking across space." Admiral Kethvar's voice crackled over the communication system immediately. "Absolutely not. This could be a trap. We should maintain safe distance." Zixara considered the options. First contact protocols usually recommended neutral meeting locations, but they were dealing with an extraordinary situation. This was not just first contact. This was meeting a species that was supposed to be extinct. "We would be honored to host you aboard our ship," she replied. "Can you transport over to us?" "We prefer to use our own shuttle," Commander Chen said. "Our technology may be different from yours. I will bring 2 companions for the initial meeting." "Agreed. Bay 7 is prepared to receive you." The screen went dark and Zixara turned to address her crew. "Security team to Bay 7, but weapons on stun setting only. Science team, prepare full medical scanners. I want to know everything about human biology." "Ambassador," Dr. Yila said quietly, "there is something else in the data they transmitted. References to other ships. The Endurance may not be alone." Before Zixara could respond, her communications officer announced, "Human shuttle launching from the Phantom ship. Estimated arrival in 15 minutes. Those 15 minutes felt like hours. The entire ship buzzed with nervous energy. Word had spread quickly among the crew that they were about to meet living representatives of an extinct species. Some were excited, others worried, and a few were terrified. Zixara made her way to the shuttle bay, accompanied by Dr. Yila and her security chief. The bay had been cleared except for essential personnel. Everyone wanted to see the humans, but she decided to keep the initial meeting small. "Shuttle docking now," came the announcement. The human shuttle was unlike anything in galactic databases. It was sleek and organic looking, as if it had been grown rather than built. The hull showed signs of age but was clearly well maintained. The airlock cycled and Ambassador Zixara got her first look at living humans in person. Commander Chen was taller than she had expected, nearly 2 meters in height. Her skin was darker than it had appeared on screen, and her brown hair was pulled back in a practical style. The 2 humans with her were obviously different genders of the species. One was larger and more muscular, with lighter skin and yellow hair. The other was smaller and more delicate, with dark skin and black hair arranged in small twisted sections. "Ambassador Zixara," Commander Chen said, stepping forward with her hand extended. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us." Zixara had studied human greeting customs from the transmitted data. She carefully grasped the human's hand and moved it up and down twice. The skin was warm and soft, not cold like she had expected. "This is Dr. Michael Torres, our chief medical officer," Commander Chen continued, indicating the larger male. "And Lieutenant Asha Okafor, our cultural specialist." "Welcome aboard the Harmony's Dream," Zixara replied. "This is Dr. Yila, our chief scientist, and security chief Volan." The humans looked around the shuttle bay with obvious curiosity. Dr. Torres pulled out a small device and began taking readings. Atmosphere is compatible, he announced. Oxygen levels are actually slightly higher than what we are used to. You breathe oxygen? Dr. Yila asked excitedly. How remarkable. That suggests your species evolved on a planet very similar to many of our worlds. Earth was beautiful, Lieutenant Okafor said softly. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds. We have recordings if you would like to see them sometime. They made their way to Conference Room 3, where Zixara had arranged for a formal meeting space. As they walked through the ship's corridors, she noticed how the humans moved. They were graceful despite their size, and their eyes constantly observed everything around them. Your ship is impressive, Commander Chen commented. The design suggests a cooperative effort between multiple species. The Galactic Council represents 47 different worlds, Zixara explained. This ship was built using the best technology from many civilizations. In the conference room, they took seats around a circular table. The humans seemed comfortable with the furniture, though Dr. Torres had to adjust his chair for his larger frame. Commander Chen, Zixara began, I must ask directly, are there other ships like yours in the galaxy? Commander Chen exchanged glances with her companions before answering. Yes, when Earth became uninhabitable, we launched 43 generation ships. Each carried different populations and followed different routes through the galaxy. We have maintained limited contact with some of them over the centuries. 43 ships, Dr. Yila whispered. That could be millions of humans scattered across space. Approximately 96 million souls in total, Lieutenant Okafor confirmed. Though some ships have experienced difficulties over the centuries, we estimate that perhaps 70 to 80 million remain. The room fell silent as everyone processed this information. The galaxy suddenly seemed much more crowded. What do you want? Security Chief Volan asked bluntly. His people were known for direct communication. Commander Chen smiled. That is a fair question. We want what every species wants, a home, a place where our children can grow up safely and our people can build a future. But every habitable world in the galaxy is already occupied, Zixara pointed out. We know, Dr. Torres said. We have been monitoring galactic civilization for centuries. We have no intention of taking anyone's world by force. Then what do you propose? Zixara asked. Commander Chen activated a holographic projector she had brought with her. The image showed a detailed star map with several systems highlighted. There are many uninhabitable worlds in unclaimed space. Worlds that are too hot, too cold, or have no atmosphere. Most species consider them worthless. Those worlds cannot support life, Dr. Yila objected. Not on the surface, Lieutenant Okafor agreed, but they often have valuable resources. With the right technology, they can be made into something beautiful. The hologram changed to show orbital habitats, massive space stations that looked like floating cities. Gardens and lakes were visible through transparent sections, and thousands of people moved through park-like environments. Orbital habitats, Commander Chen explained. We learned to build them during our journey. Self-contained ecosystems that can support millions of people indefinitely. They require raw materials but no habitable planets. And in exchange for permission to build these habitats? Zixara asked. We offer our technology, Dr. Torres said. 400 years of innovation in closed-system life support, resource recycling, and space construction. Techniques that could benefit every species in the galaxy. We also offer our labor, Lieutenant Okafor added. Humans are adaptable. We can work in environments that might be dangerous for other species. Deep space construction, asteroid mining, hazardous material handling. Zixara felt a mix of excitement and concern. The humans were offering something unprecedented. A species willing to live in space rather than compete for planets. But there would be political complications. The Galactic Council will need to discuss this, she said carefully. Some member species may be concerned about such a large population of refugees. Commander Chen's expression grew serious. We understand. We have been refugees for 400 years. We know what it means to be unwanted. There is one more thing, Dr. Torres said quietly. Our medical scans of this sector suggest there are several diseases affecting galactic populations that we might be able to help with. Human immune systems developed differently from most species. We might have antibodies or treatments that could save lives. This was another surprise. The humans were not just asking for help. They were offering to help in return. We should inform the Galactic Council immediately, Dr. Yila suggested. Agreed, Zixara said. Commander Chen, would you be willing to address the Council directly? We would be honored, Commander Chen replied. We have been preparing for this moment for 4 centuries. It is time for humanity to step out of the shadows and take our place among the stars. As the meeting concluded, Zixara realized that everything was about to change. The Phantom Ship was no longer a mystery. It was the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. The Galactic Council chamber had never been so packed. Representatives from every member world crowded into seats, while others stood along the walls. News of living humans had spread across the galaxy in just 3 days, and everyone wanted to witness this historic moment. Ambassador Zixara stood at the central podium, looking out at the sea of alien faces. Some showed curiosity, others fear, and a few displayed open hostility. The political situation had become complicated very quickly. Honored delegates, she began, today we make history. For the first time, we welcome representatives of humanity to address this council. The chamber doors opened and Commander Sarah Chen walked in, followed by Dr. Torres and Lieutenant Okafor. The humans moved with quiet confidence, showing no sign of intimidation despite being the only members of their species among thousands of aliens. As they reached the speaker's platform, Commander Chen looked around the vast chamber. Honored representatives of the Galactic Council, she said, her voice carrying clearly through the translation systems. My name is Sarah Chen. I speak for the crew and passengers of the United Earthship Endurance, and for all of humanity scattered among the stars. The hegemony representative, General Crack, stood up immediately. His armored form gleamed under the chamber lights. Before we hear pretty speeches, I have questions. How many ships do you really have? Where are they? What weapons do they carry? Commander Chen remained calm. General Crax, I understand your concerns. You represent a military culture, and sudden appearances of unknown fleets would worry any defense commander. She activated her holographic projector. We currently have 37 generation ships operational in various parts of the galaxy. 6 were lost over the centuries to mechanical failures or stellar phenomena. The hologram showed the locations of all human ships. They were scattered across the galaxy with no apparent pattern except that they avoided heavily populated systems. As for weapons, Dr. Torres stepped forward. Our ships carry minimal defensive systems. When you are carrying millions of sleeping civilians, aggressive behavior is not a survival strategy. Minimal by whose standards? General Crax demanded. By any standards, Lieutenant Okafor replied. Our weapons are designed to destroy asteroids and space debris, not to fight wars. We have learned that running away is often wiser than fighting. The Mentari scholar, Elder Seftal, rose slowly. Commander Chen, your people have been traveling for 4 centuries. What have you learned about the galaxy in that time? This question brought a sad smile to Commander Chen's face. We have learned that intelligence does not always lead to wisdom. We have watched 17 different wars fought over resources that could have been shared. We have seen beautiful worlds turned into wastelands by species who repeated the same mistakes we made on Earth. You have been spying on us. Accused the Valdari trade representative. We have been learning from you, Commander Chen corrected. When you are homeless, you study very carefully before you knock on someone's door. Dr. Yila, who had been granted permission to address the council, stood up. Honored delegates, I have spent 3 days analyzing human technology. Their capabilities in closed-system life support are centuries ahead of anything we possess. Their resource recycling systems are 98% efficient. What does that mean for practical purposes? Asked the Corvin delegate. Commander Chen changed her holographic display to show detailed plans for orbital habitats. It means we can take a dead rock floating in space and turn it into a garden that supports millions of people indefinitely. We can build cities among the stars without taking anyone's world. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some delegates were amazed by the technology, while others worried about the implications of such advanced capabilities. You expect us to simply give you raw materials and permission to build wherever you want? General Crax asked skeptically. We expect to earn those privileges, Dr. Torres replied. We offer fair trade, our technology and labor in exchange for resources and space rights. The Zephyrian scientist, Dr. Nalavex, had been studying the human data on her personal display. Commander Chen, your medical knowledge appears to be extensive. Our preliminary analysis suggests you might have treatments for several diseases that currently plague our populations. That is correct, Dr. Torres confirmed. Human immune systems evolved differently from most galactic species. We have natural resistance to several pathogens that cause problems for other races. We also developed advanced medical techniques during our long journey. What kind of techniques? Dr. Nalavex asked. Lieutenant Okafor activated another holographic display showing medical procedures. Surgery in zero gravity, treatment of psychological disorders caused by long-term space travel, and genetic therapies to prevent hereditary diseases in closed populations. The small delegate from the Rim Worlds raised her furry hand. What assurance do we have that you will not simply take what you want once you are established? Commander Chen's expression grew serious. Delegate Mira, that is a fair question. The truth is, you have no assurance except our word and our history. For 400 years, we could have attacked any world in the galaxy. Our ships are large enough to carry substantial populations and advanced enough to pose a threat. But we never have. Because you were not desperate enough, General Krax interjected. Because we chose a different path, Commander Chen replied firmly. When Earth was dying, we had a choice. We could have conquered another world and forced its inhabitants to accept us. Instead, we chose to leave everything behind and search for a solution that would not require anyone else to suffer. Elder Seftal nodded slowly. A remarkable choice. Most species would have chosen conquest. Most species do choose conquest, Lieutenant Okafor said sadly. We have watched it happen many times during our journey. The hegemony delegate was not convinced. Pretty words, but actions matter more. You say you want to build orbital habitats. How do we know you will not use them as military bases? Dr. Torres stepped forward. General, may I show you something? He activated his own display, showing the interior of the Endurance. This is our ship. Notice anything unusual? The display showed vast chambers filled with sleeping humans in suspended animation pods. There were parks, schools, hospitals, and residential areas, but General Krax's trained eye immediately spotted what was missing. No military sections, he admitted grudgingly. No barracks, no weapons manufacturing, no tactical centers. Exactly, Commander Chen said. When you are carrying your entire civilization on one ship, every cubic meter is precious. We chose to use our space for gardens, not gun decks. The council chairman, whose massive form dominated the central platform, finally spoke. Commander Chen, what exactly are you asking of this council? We ask for 3 things, Commander Chen replied. First, recognition as a legitimate species with rights under galactic law. Second, permission to establish orbital habitats around uninhabitable worlds in unclaimed space. Third, the right to trade our technology and labor for the resources we need. And in return, the chairman asked, we offer our knowledge freely to all council members, medical technology, engineering techniques, agricultural methods, and space construction capabilities. We also offer our services. Humans can work in environments that are dangerous or uncomfortable for most species. The Corvin delegate rustled his leaves thoughtfully. What about planetary settlement? Do you not desire worlds of your own? Lieutenant Okafor answered this question. Delegate Thalkar, we have been living in space for 400 years. We have learned to love the stars themselves. We do not need to take anyone's ground to be happy. But what if we refuse? Asked the Valdari trade representative. What if the council decides you are too dangerous to allow into galactic civilization? The chamber fell silent. This was the question everyone had been thinking, but no one wanted to ask directly. Commander Chen looked around the room, meeting the eyes of as many delegates as possible. Then we will respect your decision, she said quietly. We will return to the void and continue our search elsewhere. The galaxy is vast, and there are other regions we have not yet explored. You would just leave? General Krax asked, surprise evident in his voice. We would prefer not to, Dr. Torres said. We are tired of running. Our children deserve to grow up somewhere stable, but we will not force ourselves on civilizations that do not want us. The chairman looked around the chamber. The council will need time to debate this proposal. Such a decision cannot be made hastily. Commander Chen nodded. We understand. We have waited 400 years. We can wait a little longer. As the session ended and delegates began filing out, the conversations were intense. Some species saw opportunity in the human proposal. Others saw threat. A few saw both, but one thing was certain. The galaxy would never be the same again. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been going on for 6 hours, and tempers were running high. For 3 days, delegates had been arguing about the human proposal, and the chamber was divided into clear factions. General Crack stood at the speaker's podium, his armored fist striking the surface for emphasis. I do not care how peaceful they claim to be. 96 million humans scattered across the galaxy represents a massive security threat. We should relocate them to designated refugee sectors where they can be properly monitored. You want to imprison an entire species? Elder Seftal asked in disbelief. They have committed no crimes. They have violated territorial boundaries for centuries, the hegemony delegate shot back. Every time one of their ships entered a controlled system without permission, they broke galactic law. Dr. Nalavex, the Zephyrian scientist, activated her display. General Crax, I have completed my analysis of human medical technology. Their treatments could save millions of lives across the galaxy. Are you willing to reject that because of your fears? Fear keeps species alive, General Crax replied. Trust gets them conquered. Ambassador Zixara watched the debate with growing concern. The council was fracturing along predictable lines. Military species wanted containment or expulsion. Scientific communities wanted cooperation. Trade guilds were calculating profits and losses. In the observer section, Commander Chen sat quietly with her 2 companions. They had been invited to witness the debate but were not allowed to participate. Zixara could see the stress on their faces as their future was decided by others. The council chairman raised his massive hand for silence. We have heard many arguments. It is time for a preliminary vote. All in favor of accepting the human proposal without restrictions. 15 hands rose. The scientific species, several peaceful civilizations, and a few surprising choices. All in favor of rejecting the proposal entirely. 12 hands rose. Mostly military species and a few isolationist worlds. All in favor of accepting with significant restrictions. 20 hands rose. This was the largest group, including many of the major powers. The chairman frowned. We do not have a clear majority for any position. This matter requires... Alarms suddenly began blaring throughout the chamber. Emergency lights flashed red and the chairman's communications officer rushed to his side. Sir, the officer announced loudly. We have multiple contacts appearing throughout the system. Ships are decloaking everywhere. The main display screen activated, showing the space around the council station. Zixara gasped as dozens of massive ships materialized out of nowhere. Each one was the same size as the Endurance, and all were clearly of human construction. Impossible, General Crax growled. Our sensors should have detected them. Commander Chen stood up slowly. General, you have excellent sensors, but we have had 400 years to perfect stealth technology. The chamber erupted in panic. Some delegates called for military response. Others demanded explanations, and a few simply stared in shock at the massive fleet that had appeared around them. Commander Chen, the chairman said in a voice that carried over the chaos, explain this immediately. Commander Chen walked calmly to the speaker's podium. Honored Chairman, may I address the council? You may, he replied, though his tone was cold. Fellow delegates, Commander Chen began, what you see before you is not an invasion force. It is a homecoming. The display screen changed to show the interior of one of the newly arrived ships. Like the Endurance, it was filled with sleeping humans and civilian areas. No weapons, no military sections. These are our sister ships, Dr. Torres explained, standing to join Commander Chen. When we detected your fleet approaching the Endurance, we sent signals to other human vessels in this region of the galaxy. They came to support us. How many? General Crax demanded. 17 ships, Lieutenant Okafor replied, carrying approximately 41 million people. The number hit the chamber like a physical blow. 41 million humans had just appeared in their most secure system, and no one had detected them until they chose to reveal themselves. This is exactly why we cannot trust them, General Crax declared. They have been deceiving us from the beginning. Have we? Commander Chen asked calmly. General, we told you we had 37 operational ships. We told you we could have attacked any world in the galaxy at any time over the past 4 centuries. What we did not tell you is that we have been protecting you. Protecting us. The Valdari trade representative laughed bitterly. From what? Dr. Torres activated a new display showing deep space sensor readings. 3 months ago, an asteroid swarm was heading directly for the Centauri colonies. Our ship Pioneer quietly diverted it. 6 months ago, a solar flare would have destroyed communication satellites around the Vegan worlds. Our ship explorer deployed shields to absorb the radiation. You have been interfering with natural phenomena? Elder Seftal asked. We have been helping, Lieutenant Okafor said simply. When you have been homeless for 4 centuries, you learn to value any place that provides shelter, even if it is not your own. The chamber fell silent as delegates processed this information. The humans had not just been hiding, they had been secretly protecting galactic civilization. Why? Asked the small delegate from the Rim worlds. Why help species that might reject you? Commander Chen's expression softened. Because it was the right thing to do. Because someday we hoped to be part of this community. And because we remembered what it felt like to lose everything. General Krax was not convinced. Pretty words, but you still deceived us. How do we know you are not deceiving us now? You do not, Commander Chen admitted. Trust cannot be commanded, General. It must be earned. We hope to have that opportunity. The council chairman studied the tactical display showing the human fleet. Commander Chen, your ships could destroy this station and much of our fleet. Why reveal yourselves instead of simply taking what you want? Because taking is not the same as belonging, Commander Chen replied. We do not want to conquer the galaxy. We want to join it, Dr. Nalavek stood up. Commander, your medical data shows treatments for the Rigelian plague that has been killing thousands. Will you share that regardless of our decision? Of course, Dr. Torres replied immediately. Healing is not a privilege to be earned. It is a gift to be shared. The gesture was not lost on the delegates. The humans were offering their most valuable knowledge freely, even to those who wanted to reject them. Elder Seftal rose slowly. In 800 years of galactic civilization, I have never seen a species reveal its greatest strength while asking for help. This speaks to character, or cleverness, General Krax muttered, but his tone was less certain than before. Ambassador Zixara requested permission to speak. Honored Chairman, I have spent more time with the humans than anyone else here. I believe we are making this decision based on fear rather than facts. What do you propose? The chairman asked. A trial period, Zixara suggested. Grant the humans permission to establish one orbital habitat in the Kepler 442 system. Allow them to demonstrate their intentions through actions, not words. The Corvin delegate rustled his leaves in agreement. Wisdom. We can observe and learn before making larger commitments. And if they prove to be a threat? General Krax asked. Commander Chen answered before anyone else could speak. Then we will leave. We give our word as a species. If our presence proves harmful to galactic peace, we will depart voluntarily. The chairman looked around the chamber. The mood had shifted. Fear was still present, but it was balanced by curiosity and hope. I call for a new vote, he announced. All in favor of a trial settlement in the Kepler 442 system? This time 32 hands rose. Only 11 voted against and 4 abstained. The motion passes, the chairman declared. Humanity is granted provisional status and permission to establish one orbital habitat. Commander Chen closed her eyes briefly, and when she opened them, there were tears on her cheeks. Thank you, she whispered. What will you call your new home? Elder Seftal asked kindly. Commander Chen looked at her companions, then back at the assembled delegates. New Terra Station, she said, but we prefer to think of it simply as home. 6 months later, Ambassador Zixara stood in the observation deck of New Terra Station, watching ships from dozens of worlds dock at the growing facility. Human children played in the station's parks alongside young aliens from many species. The orbital habitat was exactly what the humans had promised. A self-sustaining city in space that threatened no one and welcomed everyone. The phantom ship that had haunted the galaxy for 3 centuries was now the flagship of humanity's newest beginning. The ghost ship had become a bridge between worlds, and the humans had finally found their place among the stars. Not as conquerors or refugees, but as neighbors.